and thank you for requesting my budget by Paycheck worksheet. I wanted to create an easy to follow budgeting process for people who have struggled in the past with making a budget and keeping it. And one of the things that I found to be easier than creating a monthly budget and then trying to track your spending for that whole month is to budget paycheck to paycheck. This is very helpful because when you get your paycheck, you know how much money you have at that moment, and then you can go through and figure out what bills that you have to pay out of that particular paycheck that has to be paid before your next paycheck. And then that'll help you determine, well, how much money do I have left over after I pay my bills? And then that money can be allocated to other things that you need to take care of for the month. So I am going to walk through the Excel version of my worksheet, but there is also a PDF version that you can print out and actually put pen to paper and write down everything that I'm going to go through in this electronic format. And I also found that if you're really having a really hard time with budgeting, actually printing the paper out and writing it down helps you stick to it, because it's something about putting pen to paper that makes a connection with your brain that helps to enforce what you want to get done and what you need to do. But the steps that I'm going to go through in this Excel worksheet are going to be the exact same steps that you can do also for the PDF worksheet. You'll just have to go through and calculate the overages and underages, if that's a word, under amounts by hand, but that's is real simple to do, and I can show you how the spreadsheet does it, and then you can do the same thing manually. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to go in and put the date time frame of when my paycheck that I received today until I receive my next paycheck. So if you get paid on the 1st and the 15th, you will want to say, March 1st through March 14th is the time period for your budget that relates to this paycheck. If you get paid biweekly, then you'll want to do that on a biweekly basis. So I'm going to say that I received my paycheck today. And so my next paycheck, I believe, should be the 27th. So I am going to say that this time period is through the 26th, because my next paycheck will be on the 27th. Again, I like to use the date ranges because I can print this out, put it in a binder, and then I can go through and look at how I progressed each pay period over time. Or when I'm working on my budget for the next year, there are some expenses that may change, like electric, based on season. So I can look back at my last budget worksheet from the same time period and see what my expenses were and try to budget accordingly. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to look at my bank accounts that I actually spend out of to see how much money I have in those accounts at the time when I receive my check. Because I do this because this is cash that I may have left over from my last paycheck that I can use for additional expenses, additional savings, paying down debt. So I like to make sure I'm looking at an entire picture. So I'm just going to pretend like my first account has $1,000 in it, and then I have a second account that I have $300 in it. And for me personally, I like to have two bank accounts that I spend out of just in case something happens. I'm this person that, I'm a very analytical person. So I always like to have scenario A, scenario B, just in case. So I have two banks that I have two different accounts that we can spend out of to pay for things, just in case something happens and I need to get out of one bank and move to another. But that's just something that I personally do. So the next step is, once we receive our paychecks, my husband and I, we receive our paychecks within like a couple of days apart, and we both get paid bi-weekly. So when I get my check, I enter it here, and then when my husband gets his check a couple of days later, I enter it here, and then I can go through and calculate what we need to pay. So my husband and my paycheck are pretty much the same every pay period, but there are some families who have different amounts for checks. for their checks based on the hours that they worked or if different things are being taken out of their check. So this is another reason why using this method works when you are having a challenging time budgeting, because you can budget based on your paycheck. Like once you receive it, you see what needs to be paid, you see what you have left over, and you can allocate accordingly. So I have gone in and put some of the numbers in already just so that this video wouldn't be so long, but you are able to go in and add any amounts and any categories on the spreadsheet that you downloaded that fits your life, what's going on in your life. So I'm going to pretend here that my husband and my paycheck together is $5,000. This spreadsheet will add up what you have in both of your bank accounts plus your paycheck to give you your total budgeted income for this pay period. So in this scenario, we have $6,300 of income for the next 2 weeks that we need to pay our expenses out of and make sure that we are staying within our budget. So the first thing I like to tell my clients is that you should pay yourself first. I have $100 in here as an example, but if you cannot afford $100, it could be $5, it can be $1, as long as you're putting something aside for your savings, your dreams, for a rainy day, something. You always want to make sure you are paying yourself first so that all of your money doesn't go out the door to creditors. You need to make sure you build that nest egg. So because I know I pay myself or make an investment as soon as I get paid, I know this, I have this automatically coming out of my bank account as soon as my paycheck hits. So I have $100 going to savings, $100 going to investing. And how this spreadsheet works is you have your category here, which is I have it in the pay myself first section, which is first and foremost. And then I have a due date, which for me is now, because as soon as I get paid, I have it to come out automatically. The budgeted amount is how much I know that is going to come out or how much I expect to come out for that category. And then once you have your actual amounts here, which is what you actually sent out the door or actual cash that you spent, then I have this category that subtracts your budget, that takes your budget amount, subtracts your actual from it, and then it tells you how much you are over or under in that category. For the things that are fixed or the things that you know exactly what's going to go out each month, this category here should be zero or flat. So for your actuals, the budget, it should be zero or flat. But where you get down where the expenses differ from month to month or paycheck to paycheck, you're going to see some balances left here that you can then use for different reasons or for different scenarios that come up. And I will talk through that when we get to that section. So the next section that I have is for fixed bills. So your fixed bills are going to be any bills that you know that you pay out each month that don't change most of the time. That's going to be your mortgage, any car payments, car insurance, life insurance. If you have a cell phone bill that's pretty standard every month and doesn't change, you put that here. Cable bill that's standard and doesn't change, you put that here. Now, if you have a cell phone bill or a cable bill that varies from month to month because of usage, you may want to put that down here in this section, which is called your variable expenses section. And variable is just a fancy word for that expense or that payout changes from week to week, month to month. And then there you're going to have things like electric because it's based on usage. If you don't have a budget plan set up with your electric company, water, trash could vary. If your water usage change or if you're not on a budget system, groceries definitely, eating out, buying clothes, getting your hair and nails done. Um, those would be in the variable section. So coming back up here to the fixed section, I have some expenses in here that I know that are going to be due before I receive my next paycheck. I have the due dates here, and I like to put mine in order of when they're due, just to keep them in order and make sure I pay them on time. And I have the budgeted amounts here. And again, like I said, most of these are going to be what you budget is what you pay out. So I wanted to show you here how it works. I have entered some of them in and you can see it's flat to budget. But for the other ones, I wanted to enter them in while I'm online with you so you can see how the spreadsheet will calculate it for you and show you that you paid them and you don't have any overages or underages. One thing I have added into the worksheet here, in this cell here, it tells you this is how much cash you have left over from what's in your bank account and what was in your paycheck versus what you've paid out in your expenses for the month. So this is, I like to keep an eye on this, especially when I get down to my variable expenses, because there may be some times where if I go over in groceries one week, I have to be careful that I'm not going to spend all of the cash out of my account for that pay period. So now we're down in the variable expenses. Let's say my electric bill came in a little bit lower than I expected. You'll see here now I have $25 left over in this account, in this category. But we took a lot of showers and maybe washed our cars because the weather was nice, and washed a lot of clothes because kids are doing sports now. They're all sweaty. So we have to wash more than the usual load of clothes for these the last few weeks. So our water trash bill came in a little bit higher. So here, this is telling you that you are over in this category by $50. So that means that you're going to have to spend $50 less somewhere else if you want to stick within your budget. This is important because now you know that these categories like groceries or eating out, clothes and nails, groceries are a necessity, but you don't have to spend extra on groceries. You could, decide to cook a different meal, or, I love to use coupons or look for sales to get your grocery expenses less than what you budgeted. So you need to keep that in mind when you see categories that are over. I like to break my groceries out between 2 weeks and eating out between 2 weeks when I'm doing a biweekly paycheck budget, because that way I can see, what I spent this week in groceries. Say, for instance, if I went over and I spent $300 here because we're buying extra toilet paper and paper towels and toiletries and groceries because of the coronavirus pandemic. And I know, the kids are going to be home for the next couple of weeks, so I know that I need to stock up. This is showing me that I'm over in $100. But say next week if I need to run out and get a few things, and I run out and I get them, and now I'm only spending $175, I have an extra $25 here. So the good thing is I haven't gone completely over my budget because um, I have extra income in my account this month. I still have $3,275. So I have a little bit more flexibility here when I have extra income in my account. But let's say, I totally lost my mind and went out and spent $3,000 in groceries for week one, and let's say $300 in week two. So now I have $450 left over. Say we went out to eat because we were running around so hectically trying to get all this stuff done before everyone's home. And now I have $50 left in my bank account. But look, I have $50 more than I thought I was going to eat out, and $25 that I want to spend on clothes, and $50 on nails. However, I only have $50 left to spend. So this is where your diligence and your obedience and your, being steadfast comes into play, where you may have to have a serious talk with your family and say, hey, we have $50 left in our account until we get paid in our next paycheck. So we cannot eat out. We have to cook what we have. We have to be resourceful. So we're not going to eat out. And you don't eat out. You stick to that. Still have $50. Well, you know what? My clothes looking really good. The kids didn't grow up that fast these last couple of weeks. I'm not going to need to buy any clothes. You still have $50. So now, hair, nails. You may decide I'm not going to get my nails done this week. We're staying home for 2 weeks and, not really going anywhere. I don't really have to meet any clients. I don't have to be in the office. I'm not going to, get my nails done. However, I'm looking a little jacked up. I need to get my hair done. So I'm going to spend $25 on my hair. At the end of the 2 weeks, before you get your next paycheck, This here is showing that you have $25 left in your account, in your bank account from your checking account, where you have your paycheck and you spend all of your paycheck and all of your bank account besides the $25. This is the amount that you're going to carry forward to your bank account for the next budgeted paycheck period. Unless you got some additional funds, throughout the pay period or towards the end of the pay period that you can add to this amount. If you didn't, this $25 is going to be your amount. If you did, then you can, add that when you start your next budget. However, the likelihood of you spending $3,000 is probably not, it's probably not going to happen. So let's say we only spent $500. Now it shows you have $2,500 left that should be in your bank account from your paycheck and what was previously in your bank account, and you would carry that forward to your next your budget by paycheck method. So, like I said, this is a real simple step-by-step method that you can use to help you stay on track with your budgeting. I also have instructions here to help you, or you could come back and look at this video and listen to this video to help walk you through all of the steps. I also, again, like I said, there's a PDF version that you can print out, or you can print this Excel version out and just do everything manually. But if you have any questions, definitely feel free to go back and look at this video, look at the instructions, or send me an email at tamikagood@goodccs.com, and I will answer any of your questions. Thank you for downloading my video, and I will look forward to talking to you later.